Who built Washington, D.C.? Really, pause and think about it. Was it the Founding Fathers, European architects, government commissions and proud laborers, laying the groundwork for democracy? That's what's in the textbooks. That's what they told us. That's what we were all taught to believe. What if the very foundation of Washington, D.C., its design, its structure, its sacred geometry, was carried by the ancestors of foundational Black Americans? This isn't myth. It's not legend. It's a truth they buried because it rewrites who really built the heart of America. In 1791, the task of designing the capital of a new nation fell to Pierre Charles L'Enfant, a French-born architect and former military engineer. His vision was grand: wide avenues radiating from key monuments, open public squares, a city meant to rival the royal capitals of Europe. L'Enfant's design was symbolic, even spiritual. It was filled with geometry, intention, and power alignment. And yes, it became the foundation for what DC could have looked like today. But L'Enfant was also arrogant, secretive, and difficult to work with. He refused to share copies of his plan. He clashed with officials, and eventually, he was fired. He left in protest and took the only full copy of the city's blueprint with him. The nation was stuck. The plan was gone. The capital, barely begun, was already on the verge of collapsing. And that's when Benjamin Banneker stepped forward. Not an architect, not a European, a free Black man, a self-taught astronomer, a mathematical mind unmatched in his time. This mathematician genius had already mapped the stars. They say he sat down and, from memory alone, recreated L'Enfant's vanished design. The roads, the radial grid, the city's symbolic heart. He restored the alignments, the geometric flow, the cosmic precision. Some say he may have even improved it, correcting errors, refining calculations, tightening celestial placements. If that's true, the only man who would have known was L'Enfant, and he never spoke of it again. But what we do know is this: without Benjamin Banneker, the capital's master plan would have been lost, and the city they claim as a monument to liberty might have never risen at all. Designs mean nothing without hands to build them. And when it came time to raise the bones of Washington, D.C., it wasn't the Founding Fathers who held the tools. It was our ancestors, foundational Black Americans, both enslaved and free, who cut the stone, cleared the swamps, dug the foundations, and lifted this capital into being. Quarries in Virginia and Maryland were mined by enslaved hands. Bricks were forged in fire by men who would never see freedom. The Capitol, the White House, the early roads, the government buildings, all built by Black labor. Skilled Black carpenters, masons, blacksmiths, painters, many of them never named in the records. Some were loaned by slaveholders to the federal government for a fee. Others were free men, paid little, credited less. The federal government documented the cost of renting slaves, but not the names of the builders. They erased the craftsmen. They erased the labor. They erased the legacy. But the truth didn't vanish. It's carved in the stone. It's laid in every foundation. It's in the very geometry of the city, because the minds and muscles of Black Americans are literally embedded in the structure of the nation's capital. They built the city. They weren't guests in its history. They were the authors of its origin. Washington, D.C. is not just a capital. It's a claim to a history that's been hidden, rewritten, and stripped of its truth. Because the fingerprints of foundational Black Americans don't stop at the Capitol steps. They stretch back through the soil to the copper-colored tribes or Black Aborigines known in early records as the American Indians. Our ancestors didn't arrive here. They were already here. Before there were city skylines, there were Black Aboriginal settlements, copper-colored tribes who fished the rivers, mapped the land, and built the earliest American civilizations, from the Mississippian mound builders to the maroon strongholds that birthed freedmen towns. Our legacy is the land. New York, Miami, Chicago, St. Louis, and Washington, D.C. These are not just American cities. They are modern overlays sitting on top of our ancestral presence. We didn't migrate here. We were foundational to its creation. So, when Benjamin Banneker realigned the stars over D.C., when our ancestors carved stone and laid brick beneath its monuments, they weren't building someone else's vision. They were continuing a legacy that began long before the Constitution. The Capitol isn't borrowed land, it's inherited ground. We don't just belong to this country. This country was built on top of us. If this history has opened your eyes, like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep uncovering the forgotten truths that shape the world we live in today.